Good morning, Hampton City Schools. It's good to see you all this morning and good to be with you. For those I have not had the opportunity to meet, my name is John Caggiano, Deputy Superintendent here at Hampton City Schools, and as you can probably tell from the movement on the camera that I am working with a Swivl this morning, and I'm in the office of our IPL office here at Central Office at SAC, and I'm joined by Dr. Kate Maxlow. And so we're here this morning for what we're referencing as a Swivl-Side Chat, so no fireplace here this morning, but we wanted to talk a little bit about the Swivl, some of the rationale for implementation, and perhaps where we're headed as a division with this particular device. So I'm going to go ahead and join Dr. Maxlow at this time on the couch, and Kate, let's just jump right in reference to this particular piece of technology, and what questions are we seeing some come up from survey and feedback from teachers at this point.
Awesome. So one of the biggest questions is, why are we doing concurrent hybrid? Why can't we have some teachers at the middle and high school levels who are virtual and then others who are just in person?
Yes, so as you know, based on input and working with a team of stakeholders, both teachers, administrators, parents, family members, a lot of planning went into some of what we're engaged in now from a scheduling standpoint. And so looking at a variety of schedules and taking really a look back to last spring and some of the learning loss we encountered and we know we've had to address. And in this year, unfortunately, having to start the year again in a non-traditional setting. And so when we looked at the amount of seat time and students being able to engage with teachers, some models have students, particularly at the secondary level, going 2 days a week, and because of physical distancing expectations, they've had to run those models. So every other day perhaps for virtual learners, and then teachers engaging face-to-face learners as well. And so for us it was, is there something out there that we could use that would assist us in increasing student engagement? So if you look at how we began the year, and then now at the secondary level, grades 6 through 12, with the opportunity to teach simultaneously, concurrent hybrid model, that we have been able to significantly increase the amount of instructional time. So that what that allows us to do, obviously, working with in-person learners and virtual learners at the same time. Now with that being said, we knew there'd be some growing pains for teachers, and so the division wanted to show some grace, and one way we're doing that is through some additional planning of time, which we've allotted for on Fridays. So again, really being able to try and meet the needs of both learners without them only, like I said, many divisions seeing students 2 days a week versus 4 in our case.
Awesome. Another question that comes right on the heels of that one is the Swivl required to be used by secondary teachers?
So let's talk a little bit about that. We have had some conversation with principals in reference to Swivl expectations. As you can imagine, it's a large investment. We do see it as a great device for engagement. We also see potential uses beyond pandemic. So we're exploring some of that right now, of course, with members of your team as well. So one of the things we've shared with principals is, yes, we would like at some point during the fourth quarter for all teachers 6 through 12 to engage with the Swivl. One of the reasons, one of the rationales for doing this is that we don't know, of course, what next fall will look like. We are hearing some talk in Richmond about, are they going to mandate that we provide a virtual opportunity for students in the fall? If that's the case, then we need to be positioned, right, to start out of the gate with a concurrent hybrid model. There are some conversations about, will it be up to divisions to decide if you have select criteria for students who want to go virtually. So, and to answer your question, what we've said to principals is that, yes, at some point during the year, fourth quarter, we would like teachers to try the Swivl. However, as we approach the end of the third quarter, and we know from the teacher survey and preference that we have 3 options at this time, those are still options. So for example, if you want to jump right in with a Swivl, go right ahead. If you at this time prefer and are more comfortable, it makes more sense to stay with the laptop, go ahead. Or if you want to use the webcam at the front of the room. What we're also seeing is that there's not this expectation from the division that the Swivl also needs to be used in one certain way. Mm-hmm. In classroom walks, and I know you all have been engaged with teachers throughout the process, that what we're seeing is in some days it makes perfect sense to use the Swivl, and it enhances what I could do with my students. On other days, not so much. And so maybe there are some direct teaching opportunities where I'm not even using the Swivl and I've got my laptop out and I'm engaging with all learners via Zoom. And so there is that flexibility there. But again, the expectation is that at some point prior to the end of the year that you've at least tried the Swivl. And so that if we are in a position to open, if we're put in a position to open in the fall with a mandatory virtual option, then I think we'll feel much more equipped to transition again with probably an expectation in the fall that everyone's using the Swivl when it makes sense for you.
Perfect. And then, so going along with that question, you answered, do we have to use the Swivls? And then you also answered the question that I was going to ask about next year and what expectations might look like for that. So if you're amenable, I do have one further question. And that is, so we've also had a lot of teachers talk about not having enough time when they are using the Swivl to set up the Swivls between classes because it's a little fiddly. There's some buttons you got to press and whatnot. And so between that and the cleaning, it's been very difficult in the 3 to 5 minutes that they have between classes to get everything done. So do you have any recommendations for that?
I guess, recommendations for that, we talked about the opportunity for a support group. And so whether that is a place on our website, perhaps the Chromebook Zone or somewhere, even on the CIAHQ, where we have an opportunity for teachers who figured out a way to make that work to input some of their suggestions or some of the strategies they've been using. Unfortunately, there's not a clear-cut solution to that one. But if we have teachers perhaps who are viewing this who are able to share with the digital learning specialist or just simply an email to us, that we would be happy to spread the good news. But yes, unfortunately for that, there's no easy solution.
All right, well, we will be doing some more surveys soon for teachers so that we can continue to get the feedback and suggestions about how best to do the concurrent hybrid model. And hopefully you'll be up for some more Swivl-Side Chats as we get those. And anything else you want to say to our audience in the schools and at home?
Sure. The only other thing I would say, I certainly appreciate the flexibility on the part of our faculty. And this division and our teachers for years have been leaders when it comes to integration of technology, particularly for useful purposeful for reasons, right? So we've already seen a number of creative opportunities that teachers are exploring, particularly as it relates to the academies in our high school. So a lot of teachers taking these devices on the road with them, so to speak, and meeting with business partners and now looking to embed some of that into the curriculum. So not only being able to impact our own students, but let's say like Ms. Sorrow at Phoebus High School, who we're embedding some of that work that she's done with tradesmen into the curriculum that's so impacting all the science teachers throughout Hampton. So again, making some lemonade out of lemon, so to speak. But I certainly appreciate all of the attention and the effort in an effort to meet students' needs. So continue to send the questions our way, and we relish the feedback, and thank you for all you're doing for our students and families.
Thank you.